Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sid. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sid_Dwyer. And in today's video, I want to talk about the evolution of Ryland Adams. And just a shout out to Smoky Glow for inspiring this video. She does a lot of evolution of such and such videos. So shout out to Smoky Glow. And I thought an evolution of Ryland Adams was in order because he is now on his way to becoming a family channel. So I just kind of want to go over how he's come to that point over the years. So Ryland was born in Denver, Colorado, and he has a little sister, Morgan Adams. He does have other family members, as you'll probably know, but they don't really play into his evolution as a YouTube creator, so I won't introduce them. Then after he graduated high school, he went to the Metro State University of Denver, and there he studied broadcast journalism. Why does it sound like I'm trying so hard to make this like a true crime video? But I guess something did die, and that was his degree because he dropped out of university. And then he moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in acting, even though he had never had any previous experience in acting.
If you don't already know, I moved to Hollywood about 7 years ago to become an actor. I had never taken an acting class, but I had headshots and I thought I was going to make it big.
And while auditioning for many things in LA, he did try multiple times to launch his own gossip YouTube channel. A show called Instafix was one of them.
Now, Instafix is not just another popular trend culture show. This is real-world, hard-hitting, life-changing.
And then there was a show called Gossip Press.
Okay, you guys, I have found Kristen O'Connor.
And Advice Dough with Lizzie Gordon.
Hey everybody, and welcome to our very first episode of Advice Dough!
And then the Ryland and Emily show.
What does Jesus eat?
I don't know, but someone that successful cannot be eating the same things we are.
Let's go hit the streets.
And none of these really panned out for him. And speaking of things not really panning out, his acting wasn't really going anywhere either. He went to 150 auditions.
But after about 150 auditions, I realized that I was probably just pretty bad.
And from those auditions, he got some small gigs in modeling and in commercials. And one of those gigs was also probably his biggest claim to acting fame, being Justin Bieber's stunt double in CSI. But even though he wasn't able to fulfill his acting dreams, he still got some experience during this phase of his career in hosting gossip channels, and that helped him land a full-time hosting position with Clevver TV. And Clevver TV is pretty much a celebrity and YouTuber news and gossip channel, and Ryland primarily hosted those kinds of segments on the Clevver TV channel. And because he was talking about other people's lives, that did get him into a little bit of drama. With Clevver TV, he would attend large creator events like VidCon, and at events like that, he didn't always have the best interactions with YouTubers.
Because I have had encounters with YouTubers in the past that are not so pretty. Because you guys know that I do work for a celebrity news channel, and in that we talk about YouTubers, and I don't hold back very often, so when we're talking about somebody's life, I deep dive, we talk about sexuality, we talk about relationships, we go in. If a YouTuber's sharing it with the world, then it's fair game for us to talk about.
But that didn't seem to matter to YouTuber and now fiance to Ryland, Shane Dawson, when he matched with him on Bumble. Because things went well and they became an item. And that was when Ryland decided he wanted to move away from Clevver TV and make his own YouTube content. But Ryland was in a contract with Defy Media that he wasn't able to leave Clevver TV to branch out on his own. And if he did attempt to, then he would be sued.
A lot of you know or like have heard that before I started my channel, worked for a channel called Clevver that was under the umbrella of Defy Media, where I hosted and produced entertainment news. I never got to make a why I left Clevver video because I was being threatened to be sued literally every single day for about 3 months.
But he eventually wasn't able to break his contract with Defy Media, but under one condition. He could create a new YouTube channel, but it had to be under the umbrella of Defy Media. Basically, what that meant was that Defy Media would get a cut of all of Ryland's YouTube earnings.
For them, it was a way for them to screw me over, but let me out of my full-time job at Clevver.
But he was eventually able to get out of this arrangement because Defy Media shut down. But yeah, on his own, Ryland did pretty well on YouTube, and that was probably mostly thanks to some good old nepotism. Obviously, having Shane as his boyfriend definitely helped. Over Shane's time on YouTube, anyone who's been associated with him grows a much bigger platform. Whether it be inadvertent or deliberate, he can really cause people's channels to blow up. And because of that, Ryland was able to hit the ground running with YouTube. When he started posting on YouTube, he made videos like dressing up as celebrities or other YouTubers. He even made a couple of music videos, some day in the life videos, and just some random stuff. And other than his own videos, he became a pretty recurring person in Shane's videos. Whether it was a vlog or a whole series of videos, Ryland was often present in Shane's videos. And Shane also had a pre-established squad on his channel, which Ryland became a part of as well. And through his and Shane's videos, Ryland's sister Morgan was introduced to us. And pretty much immediately, their audience took a liking to her. In Shane's video where she first made her appearance, there were hundreds of comments expressing how much they liked her. And then Morgan regularly started posting to her YouTube channel, she grew a big audience, and then she moved out to LA. And with Morgan appearing in their videos a lot more, a stark contrast started to appear between Ryland and Morgan. Morgan was being seen as this relatable, kind person, and Ryland was being seen as this materialistic gold digger. And the reasons why I've seen people have issues with Ryland fit kind of nicely into the 7 deadly sins. If you don't know what these 7 deadly sins are, according to this definition on Google, the 7 deadly sins are the 7 vices that spur other sins and further immoral behavior. So having these 7 sinful traits don't make him a murderer or a psychopath or anything. Like, none of the stuff that Ryland has done that fits into the categories of these sins isn't even anywhere near comparable to the sort of stuff that Shane Dawson has done. But I'm mentioning it because the things that he has done that have fallen into all of these sins has changed the way that his viewers view him. So it makes it a part of his evolution. But anyways, the first sin that I'm going to get into is sloth. Sloth is usually likened to laziness, which I'm not too fond of, but I mean, it could totally fit Ryland.
And you didn't do anything bad. Now I'm getting mad because I'm relating now to Wolfie, which I was not expecting. Because when we started dating, I was planning, I still kind of do, but planning everything, doing everything, going out of my way for things. And you were very much like...
But that's not what I'm going to apply the sin of sloth to. I saw another definition of sloth, which I think fits fairly well with Ryland. Having the means to help someone in need, but not helping them. I think that definition of sloth is pretty apt for when Ryland kicked Morgan out of his house.
I know, because you can't plan or follow through on anything to save your life. This video is sponsored, but before that, Morgan, I'm kicking you out.
Yeah, I think not wanting to help his sister anymore while sitting in his mansion fits fairly well into that. I know he obviously helped his sister a lot already by welcoming her into Shane's home, but a lot of people took issue with how he treated Morgan in this instance, to the point where he had to make a pinned comment on that video addressing the negative response. Okay, so the next sin is gluttony. And gluttony in this context means overconsumption or overindulgence of food, drinks, items. And I think one of the first things that I saw his fans take issue with was how money hungry he was.
I have to cancel it.
No, I think we can find another server, another platform to sell your underwear.
Craigslist. Okay, here we go.
Wait, you're gonna delete it willingly? Why don't you at least, like, see if they come for you? I'm just saying, like, let it end, see if you get paid.
And I'm willing to pay his rent for a few months.
Do it!
Overall, I think gluttony fits him fairly well. And now for the sin of envy. Envy is resent towards the traits or possessions of someone else. And I think Ryland's envy has been best displayed when he was hanging out with Shane's friend group, particularly with Garrett. In general, Ryland has never really been too kind to Garrett.
Okay, also look, this is a mosquito. It's a mosquito's foot at 800 times magnification. Isn't that cool?
Garrett, literally no one cares.
I care!
You looked at all the numbers and missed the 10! It's funny.
And does he treat Garrett this way because he's envious of Garrett's charm, kindness, personality, and humor? Quite possibly. But what kind of confirmed that Ryland's actions were stemming from envy was when Ryland crapped on Garrett's like for Harry Potter.
I got a wand and everything.
Oh,
God.
And then when Ryland was talking about Harry Potter with his own friend, he showed indifference to Harry Potter, not disgust.
You know that I'm such a Harry Potter fan that I can literally quote right now, word for word, the first paragraph of the first page of the first book.
Did you read the books? The book's as good as the, or the
better.
movie's as good as the...
No, the books are better than movies.
So to me, it's clear that Ryland selectively picking on Garrett's interest in Harry Potter stemmed from envy. So now on to the sin of greed. Greed is an intense desire and passionate love for material wealth. And that fits Ryland pretty well, if I do say so myself. If you've seen any of Ryland's videos, you'll be made aware pretty quickly how materialistic he is.
Some first classes are pretty janky though. Like, is it... Last time we flew first class, there wasn't even a TV. Well, you're gonna complain. Oh my god! I'm just asking. No, is this like the pod experience, or is it like the no TV sound experience?
Oh. Is it comfortable? It's so comfy. Should I buy just to prove a fucking point? Am I fresh? I think yes.
So now on to the sin of pride. Pride is an excessive view of one's self without regard of others. I think the clearest example of that is with Ryland on his podcast. His podcast co-host can barely even get a sentence out without Ryland interrupting her.
I had something to say about Elon Musk and now I can't remember.
Can I finish what I was saying about Elon Musk for you to actually listen and engage with? Jesus Christ.
Does he do this because he thinks his opinion is the only right one and the one that matters? I think so. And even in one of Ryland's podcasts where he is involving Shane, they are talking about some not so positive things about Ryland, and then Ryland brings up Shane's OCD. And then Lizzie, Ryland's podcast co-host, suggests that Ryland only brought that up to make himself look better, and he agrees to that.
I said I didn't want to talk about it.
It's like, I want to talk about your problems to show how I'm better.
Yes, because we were talking about how awful I was.
Oh my god. All this did was make you look really bad.
So that sounds like someone who doesn't like to be looked at as weaker than someone, even if that someone is his own partner. I think that could be his pride at work. And then lastly, we have the sins of wrath and lust. And honestly, there's not really anything that fits into those sins. With wrath, he could vaguely fit into it. He's had a couple of Karen moments here and there. And then there's that time where he snapped on Tati Westbrook on Twitter, but I don't think those instances truly encompass what wrath is. And as for lust, I don't think so. But for the most part, 5 out of the 7 deadly sins fit him fairly well. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that I know those things that I just mentioned aren't hugely problematic things with Ryland. These are just behaviors in his content that I've seen people gripe on the most. And I just thought using 5 out of the 7 deadly sins was an interesting way to break down the evolution of how people have viewed him. Okay, so now onto the part of Ryland's journey that would satisfy his gluttonous cravings the most. And it's all centered around his merch. Most YouTubers will release merch or products at some point during their YouTube journey, and a couple of years into Ryland's, he had his own merch. And much like Shane, Ryland's first wave of merch was released through Amazon. And I mean, we've all seen influencer merch. It's usually some kind of configuration of their face and their name or something like that. And sometimes it can be completely different and specific, which kind of reflects what their brand is, or what they think their brand is, or what they want their brand to be. Like Tana Mojo is now releasing tons of merch with the word Dizzy on it, like she's trying to make Dizzy happen. And it seems like with Ryland, through his Amazon merch, he's trying to make Beauty by Ryland happen. Multiple of his merch designs feature the slogan Beauty by Ryland, and it's even been abbreviated on another design to BBR. So it really seemed like he was trying to solidify that as his brand, which didn't really work. Because as we saw with his fiancée Shane, when someone encroaches on the beauty industry purely as a cash grab, it's not really appreciated. And I mean, there wasn't really any sort of disapproval around Ryland's Beauty by Ryland merch, but I think it's pretty clear that the reason why that branding didn't stick is because he's not a part of the beauty industry. But despite Ryland not really progressing any further into the beauty world, Shane was able to. And when Shane did it, he was pretty successful at first. Probably because he had someone who was actually in the beauty industry backing him. And it was Jeffree Star who Shane joined forces with, and off the back of the makeup collection that he released, he was also able to release merch with Jeffree Star. And from that, Ryland also got his own line of merch. He got a hoodie with his name spelled out with steam from a teacup, and then later he had hoodies and mugs made centered around his podcast, The Sip, and that's pretty much it as far as his merch goes. But then he was at risk of losing everything when in 2020 Shane was cancelled. In 2020, a lot of Shane's horrible past actions were brought up, and as a result, a lot of people decided to stop supporting him. Because of all of the backlash that Shane got, he took a break from the internet. And that was a concern for Ryland, because a lot of the reason why people tuned in to Ryland's videos was to see Shane. So just by Shane disappearing, a big chunk of people were now no longer going to be interested in watching Ryland's videos. And even though Ryland hadn't done any of the things that Shane had done, he still addressed the situation before proceeding with making YouTube content.
I wanted to jump on before I started posting videos again to acknowledge what's been going on with Shane.
And this was kind of the first time he's ever had to do something like that. He's had to make apologetic pinned comments on his videos that his audience didn't receive well, but he's never really sat down and addressed drama that he's been associated with before. But at the end of the day, it turns out that Shane's cancellation didn't really have an effect on his YouTube content, because people who would watch Ryland's videos for Shane still continued to watch Ryland's videos in hopes of catching a glimpse of Shane. And then Ryland had a big storm coming when it came to addressing controversy and drama, because during his next content venture, making a podcast, he was finding himself in all sorts of drama. As I talked about earlier, Ryland's been wanting to make some kind of talk show like this for a long time, and so he made a podcast called The Sip. And it was going to be centered around talking about celebrity news and gossip. And he started this podcast with Lizzie Gordon, who he has actually already tried to make some kind of talk show with once before. So, you know, he's with someone who he's comfortable with, and he's in a setting that he's comfortable in. So we got a pretty much mostly unfiltered version of Ryland in this podcast. And that wasn't always a great thing, because multiple issues arose from this podcast. Probably the biggest one was giving a platform to people like Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson to re-enter the internet. I think Shane's first appearance on YouTube after his hiatus was on this podcast to talk about the death of his kitten. And people didn't like Jeffree Star appearing on the podcast because he is a very problematic person. And one of those people were Trisha Paytas. Trisha ended long-time friendship with Shane and Ryland because Ryland had Jeffree on the podcast, when she had already voiced to them that she had a bad experience with Jeffree. And she called out Shane and Ryland over this in a very public way.
I did all my TikToks on Ryland, just like the straight up lies he told. Like, I'm still so shook.
And this caused the podcast to come under a lot of criticism, to the point where he had to disable the comments and the likes and dislikes during this time. And then he made a response to Trisha in a podcast, and then shortly after changed the direction of where he wanted the podcast to go in. As we know, when he first started the podcast, it was more about celebrity news and gossip.
I love to gossip and I love to talk. I think everyone does, but there becomes a point where like you have to let it go, because what I want to attract into my life is healthy, positive, energy. And I think like shitting on other people isn't bringing, like, I'm releasing energy into the world that isn't the energy I necessarily want coming back at me.
He changed it to more of a just general talking about their lives kind of podcast. And then he stopped uploading videos to his main channel to start a vlog channel while simultaneously uploading podcasts weekly. And while his new channel consists of day in the life vlogs, I wouldn't consider that to be a departure from the content that was on his main channel, like at all. His main channel had pretty much devolved to a vlog channel at that point. He just wasn't calling it a vlog channel. But now he's got a vlog channel, and a lot of YouTubers do make a vlog channel that accompanies their main channel. And usually the videos on their secondary channel wouldn't be as extensively edited or thought out as the ones on their main channel. But yeah, the videos that are on Ryland's vlog channel and his main channel videos are pretty much the same, which kind of begs the question, why make a new channel at all if you're just going to be posting the same kind of content? As we know, drama has been circling Ryland for some time now, so it seems starting a new channel gives him the opportunity to shed some subscribers who may no longer support him but still be subscribed to him. So essentially he's getting a fresh start with people who still support him. And these vlogs started off as videos just centered around what he was doing in a day. But it wasn't long until Shane was incorporated into these vlogs, and he was front and center in the videos and in the thumbnails, which returned Ryland's content to kind of how it was pre-Shane Dawson cancellation. And over the course of about 9 months, Ryland's vlogs have been showcasing their move from LA to Colorado. And throughout this time, Shane has been editing Ryland's vlogs. On Ryland's podcast with Shane, they talk about how Ryland's videos have gone from Ryland's minimalistic editing style to Shane's advanced editing style.
We never intended for the vlog channel to become a main channel. Like, they're really like their main channel quality videos.
So yeah, that's kind of where Ryland and his content stand at the moment. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drink water, be nice to animals. Let's take a moment of silence for everyone who has to deal with Karens. And I'll see you in my next video.